Hey there, Mike here with a new vinyl update. And first thing I want to do is actually apologize because Cody and I have been away for a while. I'm going to blame largely myself. We were supposed to record the latest Album Fight Club episode last Friday, and unfortunately, I had to cancel. So sorry about that. It's not like we're not doing it, it's just we can't quite get our schedules aligned. So, in the interim, in the meantime, I looked at my current vinyl collection and realized that the last time I did one of these was a few months ago. And so I have enough of a new stack that got added to the collection that I felt a vinyl update was warranted. And to let you in on a little secret, hopefully Cody is going to do his own vinyl update very soon. So you'll get a single thing from me and Cody, and then eventually you'll get an Album Fight Club from both of us. But Cody is not usually one to keep his promises when it comes to these sort of sidebar things, so I guess we're going to see. Now, this episode is just for me, so hopefully Cody will come down the line. But as far as I'm concerned, once again, I have a bit of a stack here, not a huge one. I don't expect this episode to take like an hour per se, but there's enough here that I think is warranted in terms of actually doing this episode and actually talking about it. So here is the latest records that I have since the last time I did one of these. So let's just get to it. These first two are actually ones that I've considered doing an Album Fight Club episode for. I kind of like this matchup, even though this is a situation with two separate bands, and I'm not the biggest fan of those kinds of episodes. I know we've done them before. I do like this matchup because I think given the time frame of when these albums came out, they kind of align in a really interesting way. They're very similar genres. They're very similar sounds. And that first one of the two is Young the Giant's first album. And really, frankly, the only album I really listen to from this band. It's nothing against this band or these guys or their abilities, but like this album in particular, I think is just the one for me. And that's largely because of the time of when it came out. I believe this is 2010, if I'm not mistaken, which is deep in high school for me. I was a sophomore / junior in 2010. So, teenager, starting to really like understand who I am and get a sense of like the things I value and the things I like. And this is just a very nostalgic record for me. My girlfriend this is going later when I was a senior. My girlfriend at the time was a huge fan of this band and this record in particular. And I remember we would spend a lot of time together just like listening to this record. So it holds a special place for me from a nostalgic sense, from like a high school sense, but it's not one of my favorites of all time. It's not one of my favorite bands of all time. I do like this record a lot though. In particular, the first run of 4 songs I think is stellar. You've got Apartment, My Body, which I think My Body and the second to next track I'm going to mention are just like their biggest hits. I mean, I saw My Body on like Budweiser commercials, if I remember correctly. I Got, which I think is super underrated, and of course Cough Syrup, which I think might be their biggest hit. And that's kind of like the best songs. Unfortunately, you get the 4 best songs right off the beat, and everything else is just like good. But those first 4 songs in particular really take me back to like a nostalgic time and a nostalgic place. So I do value this record. It's cool to have it on vinyl. I do not plan to get any other Young the Giant on vinyl. It's not that it's not good. I just have no real preference towards it and no real desire to get it. Now, as far as Album Fight Club is concerned, the second record that I think would make a pretty good matchup, even though these are 2 separate bands, is Foster the People's first record, Torches. So the reason I like this matchup is because, one, you've got 2 bands here who came out at the similar time, or at least these records that I'm talking about came out in a similar time. Both of them are their debut albums. And this is a very nostalgic record for me. I mean, when you consider Pumped Up Kicks at the time it came out, I was in high school and everyone liked that song. There wasn't a person who didn't like that song. But it's very much like this album is dominated by that song and nothing really else, which I think is a shame because I think there's a lot of great material on here. Hell on a Beat, I think, is amazing. Houdini was on SSX, the remake, like in 2010. So that's really cool. Warrant, Call It What You Want, like really good songs on here. And I think just like Young the Giant's record, it's just like that nostalgic time. When I listen to this record, I'm in high school again. And not like the bad parts of high school, like the pretty good parts of high school, like hanging with friends, not really having much responsibility in the world other than like waking up and going to high school, and getting decent grades, I guess. Experiencing like romantic feelings for the first time. Like it all is encapsulated in this, as well as the Young the Giant record. So I don't know if we're ever going to do an Album Fight Club episode on these 2 records, but I think it might be an interesting episode and interesting talk. So we'll see eventually, maybe. All right, this next portion of the stack is actually a yard sale find. So I went to a local yard sale on a whim just a few weeks ago that's near my local neighborhood, and this guy was selling his records, or at least his old record collection, and he was selling them for $5 a record. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that I think he was selling some records that were extremely valuable for $5, and he didn't quite know that. The unfortunate thing, too, is that I don't quite know that. It was just my hunch. So I didn't want to be like, hey, man, I think this Sergeant Pepper that you have is like worth way more than $5. It might be worth like 500, depending on the condition and like when it was printed. Excuse me. But I didn't know that for a fact. That was just my guess, so I didn't say anything to him. But I saw some of these records here, and they were records that I really wanted to have, so I just picked some of them up. Okay, really wanted to have, maybe not on a few of these, but some of these, sure. So the next following records I got for $5, which I think, frankly, is a steal for some of these. The first is Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. Not a huge Steve Miller Band fan, but this record I am a big fan of, because much like many records that will come up, they just have a certain run to them that is just classic material. I mean, on this, you got Fly Like an Eagle. You got, it's very hard to read, but I know for a fact Rockin' Me's on here, Take the Money and Run. Like, there's some classic songs on this record. And while if this record was like $25, I probably wouldn't pick it up. For $5, absolutely, no problem. Now, if there was any other Steve Miller Band, which there might have been, because he had several records of various bands, I didn't see any other Steve Miller and go, oh yeah, I want that. But you see Fly Like an Eagle, and you're like, yeah, I'll pick that up. Yeah, for $5, absolutely. In a similar vein, I'm a huge Jethro Tull fan, right? Aqualung, Thick as a Brick. Yeah, I'll pick those up for, in fact, I already have them in my collection. But for the case of stand up here, I wouldn't pick this up if I saw it in a record store going for like $30, $20. But for $5, sure, absolutely. The thing I really like about this record is, hopefully it's got the little pop-up, right? Which you never see in records. That is such an uncommon thing, but it's fun that it does that. It's a cool way to like do some more with the gatefold. As far as this record is concerned, though, it's Jethro Tull. Do I think it's Jethro Tull at their finest? No. That would be Aqualung and Thick as a Brick in particular. But for $5, this is a perfectly reasonable record. It's kind of just in my collection at this point. I can just say I have it. There's really nothing more to say beyond that. So, I don't know. Another one that to preface this one, I guess, this is a band that I really don't have any familiarity with. I've heard of them before. I've never really listened to them, but I have heard of this album before. And this record cover is so ridiculous that like you kind of just know it, especially if you're a prog rock fan. Tarkus by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's the stupidest thing. It's an armadillo with like tank treads and guns on it. It's very dumb, but it's very prog rock, right? Rush is my favorite band of all time. Rush was pretty stupid at certain points. So something like this is not exactly out of the wheelhouse of prog rock. But in this case, whereas with Jethro Tull Stand Up, it was kind of just like, yeah, it was $5 and whatever, I listened to it, fine, right? This is a case where I saw the record in the crate and I was like, damn, I've heard Tarkus is really good. Let me just pick this one up because it's $5. Why not? And then in hearing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is killer. This is really, really good. This is a case where do not let the album cover deceive you. Yes, the album cover is very stupid. And if you pull up the lyrics, it's talking about like this Tarkus creature that is an armadillo with tank treads. But the music is so good on this record. It is fantastic, an incredible prog rock record, especially the 20-minute opener of Tarkus. Really, really, really good. I would highly recommend. And it sort of got me into like the rest of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So while I wouldn't go to record stores just for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, if I was in a record store and I saw an Emerson, Lake and Palmer record for like a reasonable price, I probably would pick it up. $5, especially. Now, this one's really unfortunate. I saw this one, it's $5, and I went, why not? I like this group. One of their records is one of the best records of all time. So surely I'll like this record. And that would be the Beach Boys' Surfin' Safari. Of course, the record I mentioned earlier is Pet Sounds, which Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, one of the greatest records of all time. This Not so much. I put this on the turntable, and thankfully it didn't take me very long because it's a pretty short record, but I took it off the turntable at the end and I was like, okay, I kind of feel like I wasted my money if I'm being honest. It's just like so boring. It's like the most boring ass Beach Boys stuff you've ever heard. It's kind of like the Beatles, right? When the Beatles did their boy band era, they eventually moved into their like hippie drug era, which is like the great era. The Beach Boys do a similar thing here where you have this first era, which is just like surfing boy music, like boy band, whatever. It's just not very good though. Like at least the Beatles music was like good the whole way through. This is just kind of like so boring. Um, but they eventually get the Pet Sounds, and that's great, and that's wonderful, and I love Pet Sounds, and I wish this was anywhere near as good as Pet Sounds. Unfortunately, this is in a whole other universe of quality. So I'm kind of like not happy I spent $5 on this, which is kind of absurd to say because records are so expensive, and like you'll never find records in good condition for $5. But in this case, I was like, man, I don't know if I should have picked this one up. But I did, and it's whatever, and it's in my collection, and it's fine. But I'll probably never listen to it ever again, if I'm being totally honest. Because if it's a choice between Surfin' Safari and Pet Sounds, it could be a choice between Surfin' Safari and like just God Only Knows, just the one song against the whole other album. I'm going God Only Knows. Like, certain, Pet Sounds just infinitely better. So there you go. Last one of the yard sale collection, another one that I just saw and I was like, absolutely, and that would be the Doobie Brothers Captain to Me. Once again, not a huge Doobie Brothers fan, not huge into their whole catalog or anything like that. But China Road was on Rock Band, and so I know this album cover and I know this band largely from that, and it's a good record, right? It's one I wasn't super familiar with, but I think it's got good stuff on it. I think it's very good at what it's attempting to do. I mean, Evil Woman's on here, so I don't know if it's their best record because I can't just say that equivocally because I just don't know their catalog super well, but it's a great record in the sense that like it's enjoyable, and it's not like Surfin' Safari where after I spent $5 on it I was like, man, I wasted my money on that. I spent $5 on this and I was like, damn, I probably would have spent $20 on this record because it's just that good. So not much more to say beyond that, but a good find, I will say. And such thus ends my yard sale finds. But hopefully, I don't know if the dude sold through his entire collection. I'm sure if like a record head came there and saw a crate of vinyl for $5 each, he probably would have offered him like, hey, I'll buy the whole crate for $200 or whatever. I don't know, but he had some good stuff, and thankfully I was able to grab some. So there you go. All right, now we're just moving into records that I just purchased and have since the last one. I paid retail price on these, and by retail price, I simply mean like standard average retail price. And the first among them is Bad by Michael Jackson. So Cody and I did a Thriller versus Purple Rain episode, and on that, Cody, of course, was defending Thriller. I, of course, was saying Thriller is not as good as Purple Rain. I still stand by that. But sometimes I wish we didn't do that episode. The episode I wish we would have done instead was Thriller versus Bad. Because in my opinion, Thriller is the record that always gets lauded as like, oh, it's the greatest Michael Jackson record. It's one of the greatest pop records of all time. It's one of the greatest records of all time. And yes, it can have those accolades. But for my money, Bad is Michael Jackson's best record. And it's a very simple reason why. Thriller has Michael Jackson's 3 best songs on it. It's got Thriller, it's got Beat It, and it's got Billie Jean, all in a little row, right? And I will say that till the day I die. The 3 best Michael Jackson songs are on Thriller. That does not make Thriller the best Michael Jackson album because we have to take an album in its entirety. And there's so many moments on Thriller that are either fine, passable, and then there's some moments that are just flat out dog shit. I'm looking at you, the girl is mine. That song sucks ass. Don't come at me. Bad, however, might not have the 3 best Michael Jackson songs on it, but you know what it does have? The song Bad. The song The Way You Make Me Feel. The song Smooth Fucking Criminal. The song Dirty Diana. The song I Just Can't Stop Loving You. And the song Man in the Mirror. Now, I just read off 6 songs. I'm not saying those 6 songs are Michael Jackson's best songs, like his best 3, but they damn sure are some of his best songs. Thriller has Thriller, beat it. Billie Jean, Want to Be Starting Something is good. Pretty Young Thing is good, but I would say Smooth Criminal, like Smooth Criminal beats those songs. Dirty Diana beats those songs. So there's that. And then all the other songs here, Speed Demon, Liberian Girl, excuse me, Just Good Friends, Another Part of Me, like those songs aren't bad. They aren't The Girl Is Mine quality. Like they're not great. They're certainly not hitting top 25 Michael Jackson songs, but they're not bad. Funny. So yeah, for me, Bad is just the better overall record. Now, if it was a 3-versus-3 matchup, like the 3 best songs on Thriller versus the 3 best songs on Bad, then yeah, Thriller probably would take it. But as an overall record, as an overall album, I think Bad is just his best work. So I'm a little disappointed that we couldn't do the Thriller versus Bad episode. Maybe, depending on how long we go with Album Fight Club, maybe several years down the line, we'll revisit Thriller and then have it go up against Bad. But for me, I think Bad is just his most encompassing work. Okay, so some behind the scenes stuff here. The episode that Cody and I are about to do, and by about I just mean the next one, is actually not the one we had in line a few weeks ago. There was another matchup we had. I'm not going to say too much about it other than this next record is one of the records that would be in that matchup, and we're going to get to it. So you'll eventually hear my overall thoughts on Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, other than the very verbose ones you're going to get right now. It's a Linkin Park episode, as you can guess. Hybrid Theory is one of them, and I'll just let you know Meteor is the other. But Hybrid Theory, as a debut, as a record of the 2000s era and like that sort of new metal, all that stuff, I really like Hybrid Theory. It is a record where I think it's got like too many songs. I think we can cut 2 of these songs and be perfectly fine. But man, when the thing hits, it's hitting hard. I don't want to give too much of my thoughts because there will be a whole episode dedicated to it. But I'm just going to say, Paperclip, One Step Closer, Crawling. In the end, though, I mean, come on. Like, there are some moments here that are like peak Linkin Park. In fact, the best Linkin Park. In particular, in the end, might be my favorite Linkin Park song. I don't know. Wait for the final episode to see. But I do like this record a lot. I'll just let you know. That might dictate my feelings towards the episode, but it's a great record. Got it for a reasonable price, so I said, why not? All right. This is the trend of just talking about episodes. We did another episode a few months ago at this point, Cody and I, on Pantera. Now, by the end of it, we both agreed that Cowboys from Hell was the better record between the two. Unfortunately, Cowboys from Hell is not reasonably priced, or at least I couldn't find it reasonably priced. But the one I could find reasonably priced was Vulgar Display of Power, which, even though we said Cowboys from Hell is the better record, that doesn't necessarily make this a bad record, because, I mean, my God, it's got Mouth for War, Walk, Fucking Hostile, like By Demons Be Driven, which I really like. So yeah, it's still a really good record. It's not Cowboys from Hell, unfortunately, but hey, you know, not every band can have that quality throughout all their albums. I kind of just got this one just to have it, because why not? It was reasonably priced. I do like this record. I don't adore it, but, you know, as a metalhead, I feel like there's certain records you just need to have in your collection. And I don't know if Vulgar Display of Power is one of those records, but it kind of feels like it is. So I figured, why not? All right, last 2. And these last 2 are actually soundtracks to other media. So this first one is actually a cast recording of a musical. And this was a musical that myself and my wife did back in August? Maybe. I don't remember. Yes, August of last year. And that is the musical comedy Tootsie, based off the movie of the same name, but I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I am a big fan of this musical. That might be because I was in it. And so most, you know, people who are in the theater world, they often say that they're bigger fans of shows because they were in them, etc. They have attachments to them. I like to think my bias is not just that I don't think, or that I think this musical is great just because I was in it. I do really think this musical is actually pretty underrated. Now, it's a bit of a sticking point. It's about, if you don't know the concept of Tootsie, it's about a male actor who basically dresses up as a woman to get parts, and he's very quickly gets a lot of parts because he is seen as a woman. So it's not the greatest commentary in the world, but man, is this show funny. And on top of it, the music here, I think, is actually really good. There are certain songs here that are so fantastic. If you happen to know the show, some of my favorites include I Won't Let You Down, I'm Alive, There Was John, I Like What She's Doing, Unstoppable, so good. Jeff Sums It Up is really fun. This Thing is hilarious. So there's just so many great moments in this musical. If you're interested of who I played Ron Carlisle, the director. I had to sing, and I'm not a very good singer, so that was strange, but hey, it was circumstance. Yeah, big fan of this musical. So my wife was in it too, so we both have an attachment to it, and I figured why not own it on vinyl, because I think it's really good. So there's that. All right, this final one is actually a big one. And by big, I simply mean it's like a box set of like 4 different vinyl. But recently, I'm going to talk about video games here. So if you're not a fan of video games, you might as well check out. This is the last one. So recently, I was looking for a game to play. And typically when that happens, I try and figure out, okay, what's on my wish list on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, etc. And I went to my Steam page, my wish list page, and I saw that Persona 5 was like Persona 5 Royal, was like $17. And I had heard, I've never played a Persona game. I've never played a Shin Megami Tensei game, although I've memed and joked about it forever. But at $17, I've heard that this game is really good. And back when it first came out, it won tons of awards. People were saying it was the game of the year. And I just didn't have time. And I knew it was a JRPG, so I knew it was going to be like 100 hours to beat. So for years, I was just like, you know what? Maybe one day I'll eventually get to it. Well, a few months ago, I eventually got to it. And holy fuck, was it really good. If you've never played Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, I highly recommend doing so. It is absolutely fantastic. There's moments of that game where it's like 11 out of 10 good. I will caveat with, it's a very long game. If I'm not mistaken, it took me like 80 hours to beat. So it's not a rush game. It takes forever. But one of the reasons I thought the game was so great is because the music is so good in Persona 5 in particular. I cannot speak for the other Persona games. I hope to one day play all of them. Excuse me, not all of them, 3 and 4. But as far as Persona 5 is concerned, the music was fantastic. And so when I saw that the entire soundtrack was on vinyl, I figured, well, I'm going to have to grab that because the music is just that good. So I have, you can see it's like a thick box. I'm not going to open it because it's going to get convoluted. This is for the original Persona 5. This is not Persona 5 Royal. So if you know the difference between the two, Royal added some new tracks. None of them are on this. This is the original release, which is unfortunate because Royal added some good songs, but my favorite songs are from the original, which include Beneath the Mask. I love that song. And Last Surprise. Last Surprise might be my favorite battle music theme of all time, which goes up against things like Final Fantasy VII and Lost Odyssey and Kingdom Hearts, which are all games that I adore their battle music. But man, Last Surprise, that chorus when she hits the "you'll never see it coming," like, oh my God. Every time I played the game for 80 hours, every single time that chorus hit, it was like I heard it for the first time. And then there would be times where like the attacks would sync up to the chorus, and it was just like so good. So good. I believe the woman's name who's singing on it is Lynn, and hopefully I'm not getting that wrong because I'd be really upset if that's true. But she killed it across this whole thing. She does like pretty much all the vocals. The casino song, I'm blanking on the name of it, but that one's amazing. It's just so good. It's so damn good. And I figured why not own it? Because again, huge fan. So again, I wish I could open it and show you, but just rest assured, it's just a bunch of vinyl. It's got some cool covers, but otherwise it is the thing. So Persona 5, if you never played it, play it. If you never listened to the album or listened to the music, I would recommend at least Beneath the Mask, Last Surprise. Those songs are spectacular. And that is it as far as this final update is concerned. So thank you for watching and or listening. Again, hopefully Cody has one of his own. He told me he did. We'll see if he actually comes through. I'm skeptical, but you never know. But until then, look out for the next Album Fight Club episode. Hopefully it is sooner rather than later. And above all else, do take care.